Well, from across, not really the pond, but the waters, our Canadian Mr. Shawn Pierce.
Thank you. I get it now. Aren't those the words we just love to hear from our clients when they finally acknowledged that they are their biggest barrier to greater success? We've all been there. And I'd like to share a story with you today about a situation that I faced with a client on that front, a young dentist from Atlantic, Canada. And she reached out to me figuring that I had sales experience and I'm also a recovering lawyer, so I could help her with communication skills so that she could deal with her confidence in case presentation. And as we were unpacking things, what we discovered is that she had this tendency to bring her own prejudices about what she thought patients would be willing to accept into the operatory with her, never telling them all of the options that are available to her. Obviously, this was impacting her financially, but more importantly, it was having a negative impact on the optimal health outcomes for many of her patients, because how could they choose treatment they never knew about? So I talked to her about this particular issue and told her she had to work past that. And she started to tell me about this story of this one patient of hers that caused her great concern. Sweet elderly lady by the name of Hazel. Now, Hazel was 83 years of age and unfortunately didn't really have much in the way of her own teeth left to rub together. So she never talked to Hazel about all the options that were available to her, and this was troubling her. She knew that really what Hazel needed was full mouth reconstruction, implants, the whole 9 yards, but this was going to come with a cost of at least $50,000. And in her mind, Hazel, at 83 years of age, was already at the outer cusp of the average life expectancy for a woman in Canada. And she could not get it into her mind that she should present a $50,000 treatment plan to a woman who quite simply could pass away within a couple of months of receiving it. Thought, that's not a good investment, so she never told Hazel about implants. I told her, you have to discuss this with her. And she reluctantly agreed, okay, next time Hazel's in, I'll talk about implants. And when she did, Hazel looked at her and said, Doctor, if I get these implants, will I be able to eat steak again? Not a question she was expecting. Our young doctor said, tell me why that's important to her. Excellent question. Excellent response. And to fully appreciate exactly the power of the aha moment Hazel was about to provide this young doctor with, it might help if I actually tell this part of the story in the first person, sort of Hazel's voice. So I'm going to need you all to really use your imaginations, squint your eyes, and pretend that I am Hazel. Doctor, you know I live in this wonderful seniors residence. Beautiful ocean views that I love, spectacular garden I enjoy spending time in the summer months. And in particular, I enjoy that garden on Wednesdays, because Wednesdays are steak days. Wednesdays are the days the kitchen staff heads out into that garden and where they've set up various barbecues along the way, and they prepare a wonderful steak dinner for all us residents. And all the sights and sounds and smells bring me back to a time when I was younger and when my husband was still alive. And the steak dinners he'd make for us when we'd go up to our own oceanside cottage with our young family. Because let me tell you, steak dinners for him were a production. From marinating those steaks the night before to getting out there the next afternoon and firing up that barbecue to maximum heat. So when he'd slap those steaks down onto the grill, you could hear them pop and sizzle as he'd sear that outer crust, locking in all the flavors and juices. Just a minute on each side, then he'd reduce that heat, cook those steaks to a beautiful medium rare consistency we all loved. He'd bring them in when he was finished, and we'd already be sitting at the table, our salads, tossed salad, potato salad on our plates. All we needed were those steaks. I can still vividly remember taking my fork, piercing that outer crust, allowing a slow release of juices out onto my plate. With my knife in my other hand, I'd bring that down, moving that back and forth, allowing the blade to make its way through that meat, releasing one fiber after another until I had the perfect bite-sized morsel at the end of my fork. A fork I'd bring up towards my mouth, gently brushing that piece of meat past my lips, delicately placing that succulent morsel onto my tongue, removing the fork, and in one smooth motion, bring my teeth crashing down onto that meat to release an explosion of flavors worthy of an I'll have what she's having moment. I love those memories. And I miss my husband. And I love how the steak dinners at our residence make it seem like a part of him is still there with me, holding my hand. A hand that gets taken away from me when it's my turn to get my meal, because I have to make my way to the puree line. A line where I'm served some cold, bland, flavorless, textureless, aromaless blob of porridge. So, doctor, if you tell me by spending this money I'll be able to relive my husband's steak dinners again, I'll get those implants. Who knew the power of a steak? Hazel did. But Hazel could only teach her young doctor about that power when her doctor could move past her prejudice about what she thought Hazel would be willing to accept and present all the available treatment options to her. And doctors, so many of us in this room have a Hazel in our lives. A family member whom we love and cherish and whom we want nothing but the best in terms of healthcare outcomes, regardless of their age, regardless of the cost. What we need from you is to have the courage to move past any bias you have about what you think they will be willing to accept and present all the available options to them. Educate them to the best of your ability to do so, and then take the time to stand back and listen to any questions they might have. Learn about them from those questions. Learn what's important to them. Then combine your skill, your expertise, and your knowledge with their passion for the optimal healthcare outcome to arrive at a time and guide them so that they can make the decision that best suits them. And if they choose to do so, please let them eat steak. Thank you.